Zen to the power of X. Hi folks, Jonathan Wilson, TogaMan GuitarViols, and well, I'm going to talk a bit about actually some major breakthroughs that I've had in the last couple weeks with regard to some of these things that have been just completely like bottlenecking and holding a lot of instruments from getting to their homes. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that a lot of this stuff is very brand new, emerging, and just pivoting like overnight from like saying making wood instruments for 20 years to the next generation of what I'm calling composite, organic composite type builds. I started off the 10X thing back in 2016 with the intention of building carbon fiber instruments that would just pretty much take all world travel, all climate. Hey, it's raining a lot today out here in California. And so it was called the 10X. And that name was actually a placeholder because I didn't really think it was going to stick. It was just sort of an operating name for our project. And I didn't want it to be confused with an X10 from Emerald Guitars. My friend Alistair over there makes some really wonderful carbon fiber guitars. It was more of a placeholder, and it just kind of stuck and stuck and stuck. And so anyway, I started thinking about things like, what is the summit? What is the zenith? And I thought of like 10 and all these kind of things. And I actually, when you translate zenith to Italian and German, I think it's zenit, like Z-E-N-I-T. And I thought, wow, it's kind of like Zen though in a certain way or whatever, so. And I do the Kaizen thing with regard to continuous change and improvement. So that's been a theme for many years. So it will now be Zen to the power of X. So what's that going to look like? What's that going to be like? Well, those of you who've been following my stuff, last year you saw the introduction of some of the 10X GuitarViols, and they're still the 10Xs, I suppose. And they were typically carbon fiber with a usually a flax carbon fiber top, and those are really excellent guitars. Or GuitarViols, I should say. Gosh, I don't build guitars. Silly me. Anyway, what's happened though is that it turned out that the outer coating of the carbon fiber is just a major technical pain in the just miserable. I've tried every chemical, I've tried every in-mold finish you can imagine, I've tried all these different gel coat thingies, and sometimes they would go really well, sometimes they would go horrible. And so what I really wanted to do was solve that problem. And I kept trying to treat the carbon fiber, and finally I just thought, what if I put a veil over it, which is like a thin layer of something else? And I happen to have some of this Norafin, which is a flax cloth, or it's a non-woven, it's very light. And so we gave it a go, and actually this coincides with, like right at about the same time, so the new mold vacuum processes that I've been exploring and devising here. So last year it did get crazy. We had some technical hangups, holding patterns, bad logistics. I had protege errors, a lot of things that put things into a really ridiculous rework pattern. And as a result, it just really took my hands off the wheel for a little bit with some stuff. Then got got the COVID over the Christmas and New Year's. So January was like picking up the pieces, trying to scramble whatever I could. February, I modified this mold here. Another story, another radically different vacuum bagging process. And by the way, that's going extremely well. I'm like, eureka, hello, hooray, yes, this is it. Voila, you know. Anyway, so that coincided with me messing with the other materials. So the first one that came out of the mold of the new ones where I stuck the flax into it. And by the way, this is waiting for a finish. It's getting sanded, so it's not really pretty. But you see this olive green kind of color with it's ridiculously wonderful. So I can get this I can put it sanded out, polished, and get a really nice finish on it. It'll be my typical black. And there were a couple of benefits to this. One was that not only did I have a better, coating, or a little better outer surface, it actually made it sound better. So it's kind of like the combination of the carbon fiber with that outer flax just did something. It made it stronger. It's amazing stuff flax is, and I've used it in its other cloth forms for some years. I used this as a veil, and it worked great. So I've been doing that. So back to the ones that came out of last year for a second. Basically, this is one of them that I'm still reworking, okay? It's gone through, it's gonna be a wonderful instrument when it's done, but I've had to put ridiculously long man hours into this. And frankly, it's quicker just to build another one. And with the new particular method I've been doing it, I was able to get a hull made within a day, which is unheard of before. So yeah, this process is going really very well. So I can have one in the mold before lunch, and then after lunch in the later afternoon, I can have all the other, prepared pieces that go in it. And the next day I can have it ready to trim and pull out, assuming I have one of these waiting in the wings, then we get a top on it. So it doesn't mean you're gonna get your instrument in a week. I got a lot of you on there. What it's gonna mean is that, yeah, I believe we're getting that bottleneck broken, and not only that, it's just gonna be a really prolific time because I'm really excited. For the first time in a long time, I'm not dreading this. I'm actually going, oh man, I'm looking forward to this. This is great. So, speaking of that, this particular top here is, you've seen me make tops like this, but this one's particularly gorgeous. It's a quilted maple. But what's neat about it is this one's not a carbon top. It's flax. Not flax, I'm sorry. It's hemp. This one's hemp. And it just got this killer kick to it. And it's just really got the nice flex sides on it, and my goodness, it's going to just rock. And anyway, it's nice and light, and this body's really nice and light, so the combination of the two are just going to be incredible. So I'm looking forward to this one, but there's many more after that. I think like I said, I've just hit that sort of like breakthrough, that eureka that I've been just pushing for the last few years. It's been just absolutely nuts, transitioning from my past models. And speaking of my past models, I know there's a lot of fans of some of my old stuff out there. There are things like the electric models of a long time ago. There are the electroacoustics, which were kind of cool for what they were. And even the acoustics, particularly the Spartans, I built a lot of. Earlier Bistro models before that. However, think of those as like rocket stages. And that the Zen to the power of X, is the capsule. So we jettison those old rocket stages, and we go to the new with the impossible neck joint, and it's going to have us really just this killer feel to play. I've had some people who've been writing me some emails who are familiar with my old instruments. They got their hands on the 10X, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't put these things down. It's so much easier to play. It's so much more comfortable. It invites me to play. I am so excited about that. I'm excited about building your instrument, your long-awaited instrument for some of you, a few of you, you know who you are, and really excited to get all that happening for you. Anyway, have an exceedingly awesome day, weekend. Stay inspired.